Dude, that is literally on my bucket list too. I want to be
Let's
there
go
so
do it.
bad.
You're your only person that you got for your whole life, man.
Karma got me for being a shady bitch.
Oh my God. I should probably write an affirmation and like stick it on my mirror in my bathroom or something.
The difficulties of like meeting people when you're an adult, it is so hard.
The first scene of that movie is just very intense.
I would have needed a waiver to be next to this tall man because I would have had to have signed something.
Don't do that. Bad Quinn.
What just happened?
Oh my God, Mo. So I have a story about this.
Welcome to Unshut, a place where if at any point you feel like you need to shut the up, don't.
Hi,
Qwynn, my girl, how are you?
Fred. How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome to part two, dude.
We just had such a great conversation. We just get to do it again.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Did you wash your hair again today?
No.
It just looks that good.
Honestly, I'm surprised. It was in a bun before I brushed it, and it's kind of doing something.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for doing this again with me. I wish you could have been here to see my reaction when I was like, what just happened? I freaked out.
No, I was a little heartbroken too. I was like, no, it was so great, but it's all right. Let's go.
And just so you know, I am going to get extremely creative with this. So I'm super excited about it because I am going to be clipping audio clips from our previous recording because I do have the audio. And
Okay.
I can't wait for you to see how I'm going to incorporate that audio, overlay it to this episode. It's going to be so sick and I'm so excited about it. But
Well,
what we are going to do is we are going to further dissect some of those things that we talked about because you're too beautiful. I couldn't just have your voice on my show.
you're so sweet. Thank you.
Of
What to
course.
do here? Let's do it.
Amazing. Well, I have to tell you this story before we officially start because the first thing that crossed my mind when that whole thing happened with me deleting the episode, I don't know if you remember, but on that recording we did, you were talking about forgiveness. Either a roommate or an ex best friend or something, and you were like, being the bigger person. And then my shady ass was like, nah, not me. And immediately when that happened with the audio or with the video, I was like, karma, bitch. Karma got me for being a shady bitch.
Oh my God. This person was not taking accountability for things. And that is one of my biggest pet peeves because I'm like, listen, we can solve anything if we talk about it. That was one of those situations where I was like, no, I have to end the lease. Like, we were living together too. And this was a friend. I wish her nothing but the best. I really hope that she's doing well in life, but it just
Not
was,
me. I wish her the worst. I'm
no,
just
no,
kidding.
no, no. I really do wish
Just
her the
kidding.
best. That's so funny.
I was like, hey, Alexa, play Blame Yourself by Qwynn.
You should blame yourself. You say I'm inconsiderate, but you don't know the half of it. You should blame yourself. We used to say through thick and thin, but you brought on this bitter end. You should blame yourself.
That is exactly how we're kicking off the episode because I feel like, I'm not too prideful to own up my mistakes. And this
And
prompted
we're human beings. It happens.
Absolutely. And this also got me thinking, obviously, of your song Blame Yourself, but it also gave me this idea to let's put ourselves out there to the times that we have, made mistakes. And I wanted to ask you, when it comes to your writing, have you ever had a moment of reflection where you were like, oh, fuck, I was the problem. Karma got me because of me.
Yeah. I mean, I love to admit when I'm wrong and like nib that in the bud as soon as I can. Like, I have no problem seeing when I'm in the wrong. I'm a very empathetic person, so I really do try to always see things from both sides of the situation. It was instilled in me when I grew up, like empathy. A lot of it sometimes will be more on the technical side of like, okay, no, let's try this direction and let's like really go, let's go for like the synths and, get really big here and then come back down. And it just did not work. Or like something like that, like production stuff. That happens all the time. In terms of lyrics, I've looked back on some of my first songs that I wrote and put out, like when I first started releasing music under the artist name Qwynn. And I think that I've grown a lot since the release of those songs. This has inspired me to go and kind of listen back and like call myself out on some of those. The first song I ever put out was called Only One. I was really mad at something in the world at that point when I wrote that song. Like the chorus is literally like, I got my own back. I like it like that. I don't need anyone to give me validation, which I think is a very strong message. But I think that I was trying to do things maybe too much so on my own, that maybe it shut out other potential opportunities. But I think that that's maybe something I needed to learn.
Well, I feel like that's definitely something we're going to deep dive a little bit later because of something else you said on the last episode we recorded. But I do think that that's like the beauty of the self-awareness that you grow out of writing and putting things on paper. And like you said, because I got goosebumps when you were like, that actually inspired me to go back and listen to my music because I'm like, that is what that is all about. It's therapeutic.
Being an artist and being a creative person, you have such a big digital footprint. Like your work is out there and like, it's gonna be out there for the world to hear. So it's a little scary, to be vulnerable and put yourself out there like that. But I mean, it's art, it's beautiful.
100%. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. And whenever you do go back and revisit, work through those emotions, and I bet you're going to write another badass song because of it.
Probably that would be great.
Well, this also works out perfectly because now we have some newer things to talk about. But your music video, dude, I'm obsessed.
I go so crazy when you're touching on my body. Serotonin on tap when you're next to me. There's no stopping what we both know is bound to happen. You're just an actor and you play it out to see. I know I've lost it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just put out the music video for the last song on the EP, the newest song that came out, No Next Time, and that was such a fun video to do. We had such a blast. I've had that vision in my brain since I literally was in the writing session. Like I was sitting there with my producer Greg writing the lyrics, and I was like, "Yo, I just can see the music video for this. It's gonna be so fun." Not that obviously you write a song and your vision is just for the music video, but like it was the fun song. It was kind of like the messy song of the EP. That's like a little toxic and relatable. So I was like, well, there has to be a fun video to like poke fun at it. So it was a blast, and I'm really happy with how it came out. Everybody that I worked with was amazing, and the energy was so great on set that day, and it was so much fun.
I loved it so much. In the last time that we chatted, we talked about your wardrobe for your EP release. The funny part about the show is that my gayness either comes out when I have a hot guy on the show or when I have my girlies on and we get to talk about fashion because your outfit was everything. What were you wearing?
It's a toxic trait for my bank account, but like this is what I've done. Every city that I've lived in, I find the local shops or boutiques and I go in there. And of course, I end up making friends with like the managers and the sales associates. So they're sister stores. They're called Parish and Hero. They're here in Nashville. And my sweet friend Robbie, he works there and he always pulls things for me. And I went into Hero and I told him, listen, I'm coming in. I got to find a killer outfit for my show. I go in there and then 30 minutes later, I'm like trying on clothes. Robbie comes in with a suitcase full of stuff that they're like literally taking out and haven't even put on the shelves yet. And that top and those pants were in that suitcase. And I was like, yes, that's the vision.
Were they involved in the process for the wardrobe on the video, or was this completely different?
I think I got that outfit. I love to shop local boutiques. I really like try to not shop like fast fashion stuff if I can. I love like going in and supporting local community businesses. So I think I got that outfit at Blush Boutique. Shout out Blush. And then there's another boutique I love to shop at and source pieces from as well. And then I also was wearing my grandmother's vintage mink fur coat that I like stole from her. Yeah, she passed away about a year and a half ago. And my mom found it when we were going through her stuff. And I was like, that needs to be mine. And it's really cool too. It has her initials engraved on the inside of it. So I always feel like I have a piece of her whenever I'm wearing it. And I was like, yeah, that's gonna be mine.
That is so awesome because it was because of that jacket that I was like, oh, I wonder if they styled her the same way for like the EP release. That's amazing.
No, that was my grandma Alice's jacket. Yeah.
I love the vibe of it. There's something I am going to pinpoint a little bit later about that video, but before I do that real quick, I know that the last time we also chatted, we talked about how hands-on you were with all the visuality that goes into your projects. Do you think that your experience in theater and film is the reason why you're so proactive and hands-on with like your music videos and like the image that goes behind your music?
Gosh, I love all aspects of being creative. I really do. Like growing up and choreographing, programs and stuff with on the ice and then, learning the choreography. Oh my God, I took tap lessons, I did jazz, I did ballet, like trained ballet off ice, and then that translated over to theater and like dancing and performing that way. And it was so cool. And like when I learned more about being on camera and then like watching back and being behind the camera. I've written a lot of screenplays. I don't really talk about it, but I've written so many stories that like eventually I want to maybe do something with one day. But also like I've written all of the scripts to the music videos because I love storytelling. And I think that that comes across in the music I make. Feeling free to create, especially when it's something that you wrote, but doing it in all aspects is such a cool thing to me. I absolutely love it. And it's worked out really well. Like even like the low budget stuff I've done just to like throw up a video to go along with a song. It's been a fun creative process doing so with that, even though it's not like as big of a production as some of the other ones have been. And it doesn't feel like work, which is really cool. It just feels like cool, like my passions coming to life and this is really great. And I get to work with people who are so talented and like get to share in the vision and just collaborate and co-create, which I think is one of the reasons why like you can't do it alone. You have to have a support system and a team around you and people that believe in the vision and want to make it happen. Point blank, period. I don't care what you do, where you're at in life. That's what you need to have success.
Were you just as involved with this one with everything else that you have done in the past?
Totally. So I wrote the treatment and then we had a call with the director beforehand just to kind of talk through concepts. And this director was fantastic. His name is Luke Harvey from Mossflower Productions here in Nashville. And he is fantastic. Like his creative genius is just so cool. And it was so much fun to work with him and his team. And then we had my lovely editor, Robin Feldman, help me edit the video. We had a lot of calls back and forth, really getting specific about, okay, this is the story. Let's make sure we get this, this, and this. So I was very involved in the whole process of it. And of course, like hanging out with my friends on set and like drinking tequila and just like playing with the fun of it. I mean, we weren't hammered. We were having a good time. We were enjoying ourselves. It was also really cool too because we got to shoot at this venue called The Office, which my really great friends own, and I've worked there a little bit in the past. So it was just really cool. It was like everything came together so beautifully, and I got to work with some incredible people in a place that I love and feels like home.
No, totally. And who selected this tall piece of hunk that was on the video?
Oh my God, Mo. So I have a story about this. That is a friend of a friend. His name's Chris. He was such a team player that day. I had originally chosen somebody else to do it, but then they canceled on me at like 1:30 in the morning and I went to bed at like 9:30, woke up at 7. So I woke up to this text of like the love interest that I had chosen being like, "Hey, sorry, I'm actually too stressed. I don't think I'm gonna make it. I get it. Shit happens." Like, but I was like, oh my God, I don't have a love interest. And my boyfriend was working and I didn't want him to be, the storyline was like about a toxic situationship and I didn't want to involve my relationship in that, like keep it separate. He would have been great in it. He's so beautiful, but I was like, no, I don't want to use him. So I'm scrambling and like I'm on my phone with my girlfriend and I'm like, hey, I need to find somebody. So she's like scrambling. She's texting everybody that she knows because I'm trying to get like hair and makeup. I'm trying to talk to the director and like figure everything out and like stay clear headed for the shoot. Chris came in and he saved the day and it all worked out. Very, very grateful for that. But he's really sweet. It was a lot of fun to work with him. And then all of my friends, I had some like girlfriends that I bartend with and have met like just out and about. And then some of my guy friends that are creatives as well. And it's just really cool. So it all came together. It was very stressful and random, but like so beautiful. And hindsight's 2020, like looking back, I'm like, I'm really happy that that person canceled because it wouldn't have been the same energy and the same final product if that had not happened. So everything happens for a reason, you know?
Totally. And then I wouldn't have been a nosy neighbor and clicked on his profile and seen like 6'6" or something and just
Yeah.
straight fucking melted. I'm like, what? And
Everything worked out perfectly.
exactly. And even though obviously he's this tall, beautiful man, he was kind of the star of the music video, but there was another secret star to this music video that I had to pinpoint because when I saw it, immediately took a screenshot because this fucking floored me. And I want to ask you, whose final idea was this? Because there was someone on there that was wearing a hat that said, and to me, this was the real star of the show, but Daddy, I love him.
Yes. Yes, that is my girl Erica. We worked together at AJ's and she's a badass bartender. She showed up with that hat. I was like, the hat. Yes, like that is just perfect. And she wears it sometimes when she's working and I think it's just so funny. But yeah, I was like, this is so funny. This just has to be in it. So, and it was just an unspoken thing. And we're like, yep, the hat. And then it just became kind of a fun theme in the music video. And like the last shot, like when we were doing the scenes of like the morning after, when he's got the hat on his face and I like look over to him and I'm like, and he smiles. I was like, that is the perfect shot for the ending. So it like it ended up being such a big part of the video, which is just so funny.
No,
So
it literally, when that ending scene, I fucking died because it was just so genius. Because it made me think of, like, how the toxic point of view of, like, when you try to find every excuse to, like, say yes, go back to it, go back to the cycle. And then when you're out of reasons, your only excuse is, but I love him. And I thought it was fucking genius, dude. I loved it. So bravo.
thank you. Yeah, it was so fun.
I literally was watching the video thinking, like, I would have needed a waiver to be next to this tall man because I would have had to have signed something. Everyone on set would have been like, Mo, stop climbing. But then I would have been distracted by the hat and the hat would have stole the fucking show.
You were hilarious. Oh my God.
Total side note, real quick, because you talked about, having your tequila and stuff. I saw that you were out for St. Patrick's Day. How was that?
Oh my God, I love St. Patrick's Day. It was fun. I was out with some girlfriends. St. Patrick's Day is it's probably my favorite day of the year, honestly. Growing up in Cleveland, St. Patrick's Day was very big, and my parents they would take us out of school if St. Patrick's Day was on a school day, and we would go downtown and we watch the parade, and then we'd go to like an Irish pub. My mom was a competitive Irish dancer growing up. Her family's Irish, and I mean, hence my name is Qwynn, Irish first name, French last name. But yeah, my parents, and they love to host, they love to have parties. So it was like when we were younger, we'd do the parade, and then my parents would have big house parties, and that didn't matter whatever day St. Patrick's Day was on, that's the day of the year that we would have the party. And half the time the weather would be like nice and warm and we get like a peekaboo of spring, and then sometimes it would be like snowing and disgusting, but we would still have the party nonetheless. And my mom would have like anywhere from like 5 to 10, sometimes even 12 crock pots of corned beef going to feed like a village. It was just so much fun. I think one time, like, I even broke my arm on St. Patrick's Day when I was a kid. Like, all the kids were like playing in the basement, and a ball came and hit my hand and broke my wrist. Lots of memories connected to St. Patrick's Day. That's so funny. I haven't thought about that in years, but I love it. And it's so fun. And yeah, so I was out with some girlfriends. We did some Irish car bombs, had our green beer.
It looked like a lot of fun, but I was thinking, like, I wonder if you've ever done Chicago on St.
That
Patrick's
is on
Day.
my bucket list, Mo. I need to go do it.
Dude, that is literally on my bucket list too. I want to
Let's
be there
go
so
do it.
bad. Let's
Let's
do
go do
it.
it. Let's put it on the
So,
calendar.
so St. Patrick's Day 2026,
Let's go.
Chicago, we'll do it. That'll be amazing.
Let's go.
Amazing. I also, last time we chatted, I loved talking about your move to LA and to Nashville while basically still a baby because you were so young. And looking back at it, would you do it all over again without changing anything about it?
Yes, one of the hardest chapters of life that I had to go through, but I wouldn't change a thing because it's made me who I am today. And I've met so many incredible people along the way. And nope, I wouldn't change a thing.
Well,
Thank you
and
for asking me that question because that's really great to put that into perspective. Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, and it's funny because listening back to our audio, it's what made me think of that because hearing you talk about this, it's so challenging. And sometimes you often wonder, would people go through those struggles all over again just to be where they're at today? And I know for me, absolutely, I wouldn't change a single thing about my past. Maybe a couple of like stupid things here and there, but 100%, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Well, and it's so hard to like, unless you really, really made a bad decision that was really life-changing in a bad way. I don't think that anyone should ever, I mean, obviously to each their, maybe I should rephrase that. Me personally, I would never go back and change something in my life because the lessons you learn, the wisdom you get from it, the setbacks, the drive to grow and become better, like that's who you are. It's what makes up this little journey of life that we're on. And if I wouldn't have made some mistakes or chosen to go out and do things, it wouldn't have ended up with the stories that I have and the memories and the lessons. So I always just try to return back to my gratitude and like, okay, yes, this happened. What did I learn from it? I have my health, I have my family, I have people that I love, I have a good head on my shoulders. I'm truly grateful. How lucky am I to have this life that I've, built for myself and the opportunities that have come my way to make me who I am.
No, and I think you said it so spot on. It's all about the progress and the journey that takes you to the good places in life. And something that just totally sparked my mind real quick was I didn't bring this up the last time we chatted, but I do remember you had called him like your lover boy in a pose. proposed. And now I'm truly curious, like, when it came to meeting him, because I know we also talked about the difficulties of like meeting people when you're an adult. It is so hard to put
Yeah.
yourself out there. And obviously, you had moved from one big city to another mega city. So, how did you guys meet? How did you find yourself into this place where you were finally open to be receptive of this type of love and relationship that you are in now?
I still smile and get so giddy when I think about him. He's the best. So I met actually like my first true great girlfriend in a bar bathroom, like right after I had moved downtown from when I was living in Franklin, and we became really close friends. And I met some other great girlfriends through her, and like kind of had a little group of people, and we were out and about. I was out with a girlfriend, going out, living my life. I was 21. I was having fun. We were at the bar, and the guy that I had been seeing, it was a toxic thing, whatever. She saw me see him, and she's like, "Nope, we're leaving. Let's go." And as soon as we were leaving, I met him at a bar, and which is actually a Tin Roof on Demonbreun, which is hilarious if you know Nashville lore. That's kind of like the local like hookup bar, like it has that like a reputation to it, I guess. Great bar, very fun. But we were leaving, and I see this beautiful man just like sitting in this front booth, staring me down, looking at me. And I was like, oh my God, I think this is the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my life. And I just went up to him. I was like, hey, what's up? And we started talking, and literally, I think that's what I said. I probably told him that night that I was like, you are just so beautiful. He bought me a beer. And we drank about half of it. My girlfriend was like, "Hey Qwynn, like I want to go. My keys are at your place. I want to go home to my dog, whatever." So I was like, "Okay, well, his friends wanted to go to another bar." I was like, "Well, just come hop in the Uber with us. We'll make sure that she gets home safe, and then we'll go meet your friends. This is not good. Don't bring strangers into your home. Don't do that." Bad Qwynn. This worked out in my favor, however, but that's really bad advice. Do not do that. But we went back up to my place, and she left, and like we ended up just sitting on my front, like my balcony, and I have these two hanging chairs that I just absolutely love to sit in. They're so comfortable. And we literally talked until the sun came up and just like got to know each other. And I've never met a man like this in my life. He took me on a date. 2 nights later, I was going to Cleveland to play a show for the Autism Speaks fundraiser, and he was going to Florida for a little trip with his friends. And he called me every day, and we would talk from anywhere to like 30 minutes to an hour. And I was at home with my family, and like he was on vacation with his best friends, and we were just talking, talking, talking. Like I was like, wow, this is insane. Like you can ask my friends, you can ask my parents. Like they're like, you've never been like this over somebody ever. And here we are 2.5 years later, and he's great. He is not in the music industry at all, which I love. We're always learning things from each other, which is really cool.
I love it so much. And would you say that that is probably one of your best tips to putting yourself out there to people is to just shoot your shot because that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Also, too, I'm very outgoing. I have never met a stranger. And also, too, it comes along with, the job that I do outside of music. Well, music, too. You have to be open and honest and leave all your shit at the door and just go in to with my open mind to like make beautiful art. And like bartending, I meet people from all over the world, and it's so cool. I'm always talking to people.
Well, talking about leaving your shit at the door or leaving your shit behind, I remember we also talked about, kind of like the rebirth of your name and like moving forward, dropping a letter, adding a letter, doing these things to your name that kind of was, in my opinion, was just a genius move. Something that I was just kind of curious about it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but now I'm going to because it sparked something in the back of my mind real quick. It had to do with your name. Was that symbolic for you in regards to like dropping the U, adding the W? Was this kind of like a rebirth for Qwynn because of how obsessed you were with your craft and you wanted to separate the journey almost? And this was kind of like your big start, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. So I used to go by my full name, which is Qwynn Lesperance. And that's how it was when I was acting. And when I was like a baby 17-year-old, like 16 to 18, I released my first true original song when I was 18. It's like, great, this is great. But she like I call her Baby Qwynn. She was like in her pop princess era and, still young and still learning. And I had moved to Nashville and was working on all this music and was like, you know what? I want to do this rebrand because I feel like the music has more edge, it has more grit. Like she's grown up, she's gone through the shit, Like, not gonna lie, when I first came to Nashville, I was at a very weird place in my life mentally because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I was going to stay in Nashville or if I was going to go back to LA or if I was even going to like keep acting or like what am I doing? Like Nashville was kind of a thing where I would come here and I'd work on music when I was like kind of burning out of LA a little bit, and I would channel that and I would use it to write and make music. That's kind of one of the reasons why I came here. I was like, yeah, I need a fresh start. I'm just gonna go make some music and really live in that space and just be creative and give myself permission to do that. But then when I got here in July of 2021, I got really, really sick with COVID. I had long lasting complications from that. It made me gain a bunch of weight. And for the first time, like I was always a string bean. Like my clothes weren't fitting me. And I was working out 6 days a week, eating so healthy, but I couldn't like understand why I just kept getting bigger. And like, I was like, what is going on? But I was so, my gut health was so sick and complications from COVID, and like the mental and the gut, they're the same in one, your gut's your second brain. So I was experiencing the worst anxiety. I didn't even know a human being could experience anxiety like that chronically. I really tried to holistically heal my gut as much as I could alongside, and there's no shame in admitting this, I started taking antidepressants. And that was something that helped me kind of rebalance and find myself again, to like back to like, okay, I feel like me. And sure enough, the weight shut off and I was myself again. And that was when I decided like I'm moving here. I'm gonna move downtown. I'm gonna get my own place. I'm gonna bartend and I'm just gonna fuck around and find out. It's gonna be great. And I can do this. I've done this before, and I am strong and I am resilient, and I'm very, very fortunate to have such an amazing family as a support system who love and believe in me so much, and just really great friends and people that I've met in the city that became family, and here we are today.
But I didn't get to ask you this last time. Do you recall the moment that you changed the spelling of your name and immediately got that feeling of lights,
Yeah.
sparkling lights on it?
I had, moved to Nashville and had just written all of this music and, was going through a really tough chapter and transformative period in my life. And I was like, okay, this is a new chapter. I want the name and the music to, reflect that. So we decided to just go by Qwynn. And I was looking up different spellings and different variations of it. And there was no Qwynn Qwynn. So I was like, perfect, let's do it. It's really been great though to help me like differentiate and separate parts of myself. It's like, because Qwynn, like, obviously I'm Qwynn, but it's like cool, like that's her artist persona, and like that's her, and then there's Qwynn. But like I think the longer that I've been with it, I'm like, nah, it's like I feel like it's the same now.
Well, and I feel like it's also this like role playing aspect of, I guess, like the Hannah Montana effect. It's like
Yeah,
you,
kind
you
of,
know,
yeah.
and I love that so much because I am the same way about Mo. I am like, my full name it's Moses, but I do feel like creatively as a choreographer, I was known as just Mo. When it comes to the show, everyone just calls me Mo. And so I do feel like, separating the two, yet they're both the same. I do feel like it almost helps us kind of like put on the hat and get to
Yeah,
playing the role. So I love it.
totally. Yeah, for sure.
Another thing, while we're on the topic of like leaving the shit behind, right? You had openly talked about mental health, and I think that this was something that I admired about you so much because you're just an advocate to calling yourself out when you're like, I'm not really feeling myself. And the last time we recorded, you had talked about your struggles with it. Where are you today? Are you still feeling like it's just always going to be a part of you because we're human? And I actually wrote this quote down because you said, we're all just human beings on this floating rock trying to figure it out. And that has stuck with me ever since.
There's always a way to like put things into perspective, like it's never that serious. And maybe that's naive of me to think that or say that, but life is so much more free and fun when you think that way about it. It's so easy to overwhelm us and stress us out. And, I need to remind myself of this daily. I should probably write an affirmation and like stick it on my mirror in my bathroom or something. I promised myself a long time ago that I was not going to let fear of judgment of other people impact my life anymore. That has been the most freeing thing I've ever done. Like when it comes to social media, putting it up. You just got to do it. You got to work the muscle because, sometimes like that's going to resonate with some people or it won't. And like you're going to find the people that like your shit, like your music, like your mindset. And that's how you build an honest, fan base, is just being true to who you are and putting out art that people can relate to. And as soon as I stopped caring about what other people think, I mean, I'm human, of course, sometimes it's still going to linger, but like overall, majority of the time, like I've had a lot more success. And I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. I'm not perfect. And I want to always be aware and call myself out if I do something wrong or learn from something in my life and choose to not want to do that or think that way anymore. That's happened. But yeah.
Do you feel like that constant reminder of reminding Qwynn, hey, free of yourself of it, let it go, move on, is what helps you get out of those foggy moments whenever you are in your head about things?
It's easier said than done. I think I have to get out of my environment. Like if I'm in my apartment all day, like I need to go for a walk or I need to go to the gym or even like get in the car and go for a drive or like go touch grass. I know it's so stupid, but like I live downtown. There's a few grass patches that but it's downtown. Like my boyfriend and I, a couple weekends ago, we went and did a hike, and it was just so nice to like not see buildings and like see trees and be in the woods. There's things that you can do to help shake the cycle that you're in. It's on you though to pick yourself up and do it. And sometimes you're like, it's the last thing that you want to do, but you're your only person that you got for your whole life, man.
I feel like that's so spot on. And I feel like there's so much accountability that goes into getting out of our own heads. And so I love what you said about taking yourself out of the environment because I do think that with me, that resonates because I'm like, whenever I am in a funky mood, like you said, if I'm at home, the best thing I do is I'm like, all right, I'm not going to edit an episode or do PR stuff here at home. Let me go do it at a coffee shop. Let me get out of that funk. But removing myself out of that environment is so monumental.
I always get more stuff done too when I'm in a coffee shop. Like I'll take my calls in a coffee shop. I'll go like somewhere else to shoot some content. Getting out of your environment and putting you in a new one, that always helps me.
Well, and then that way you're also able to get back to the fun Qwynn who's like throwing
Uh,
back some tequila shots with the girls, you know?
yes, I will say like this is so crazy to even think, but it takes so much less for me to be hungover nowadays. And I'm like, what the hell happened? I was going out, I was living my best life. I was, drinking my tequila, I can't do that with the same amount of ease and fun. Like I'll wake up and I'll have, a few drinks and I'll be like, oh my God, I feel like shit. But also like it depends on how much I eat, how much I've hydrated the before, all the things. But I'm like, oh my God, is it hitting me now? Like, is this what like really, really, really bad hangovers feel like?
Well, while we're on the topic of tequila, because one of my favorite parts about the last time we chatted was us creating a cocktail that was inspired by Qwynn. In honor of you being a bartender, we are going to bartend on the show real quick, and this will be a drink inspired by who you are. First of all, what liquor are we using?
Probably tequila and mezcal.
Beautiful. And if you could pick a color to go with that, what color are you adding to this?
Pink.
What about a flavor?
Probably like a rose or like a watermelon. Not together. It would be either or.
What about a garnish?
Dehydrated orange.
We didn't get to actually give it an official title. So that's my next question to you. If we were to create this cocktail, what would we call it? What would that look like on the menu?
Hot girl shit.
Hell yeah.
I put on a showcase here in Nashville that I call Hot Girl Shit. It's been really fun. We've done a few of them at the basement. I want to like keep building it and growing it because it's been so much fun. I feel like in Nashville, there's a lot of like, women empowerment things and more country focused things, but I wanted to create a space for like the pop girlies or even like any genre. Honestly, not even pop. I don't want to limit it to that, but just really awesome, badass girls in Nashville doing hot girl shit. And I didn't want it to be like female empowerment. No, we're hot girls. We're doing hot girl shit. Come out to the show. It's fucking fun. And the energy has been so amazing. It's like the energy in that room, like we sold a lot of tickets. It was like, there's just people were shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, this is really great. I think we'll probably do the next one, hopefully in May, but it's been a lot of fun.
If you do get to do it in May, definitely put that on the menu because I do think that's really cool. And something you said is so spot on. It's like you don't want to be so limiting. And I think just kind of like what you were saying, the multi-genre of just any creative to be welcomed, I think that's where the energy is coming from because it's not just the same people with the same personality, I guess. It's multi. I love that.
It's really fun. So it's so cool too, because like every girl that I've had do it, we're all so different, but the music's great. And it's live band, like full band live showcase. It's been a blast.
Well, I
So
can't wait to see if you do pull the trigger on that in May. Crossing fingers for that because I think it'll be fun. And another thing that was fun, do you remember talking figure skating movies with me last time?
yes, I do.
Totally random. Last time we talked about figure skating movies, we talked about the cutting edge, and you made a comment that made me think of a question for you real quick. In honor of you being a figure skater when you were younger, the first thing going to ask you just to kick this off is I know you're way younger than I am, but I'm curious if anyone that's older than you, maybe your parents or anyone, did they ever show you the movie called The Cutting Edge?
I wasn't allowed to watch it. And I think I watched it briefly, but I can't remember right now.
It was mine and my siblings' favorite ice skating movie when we were younger. But there's this scene that immediately popped into my head when I read that you were an ice skater, that you were into figure skating before. And it was the scene where the girl is teaching the guy how to ice skate, and she keeps telling him, toe pick, toe pick, toe pick, because it's how you break. But he played hockey, and I believe the way that they break with different skates are not the same. So that prompted me to ask you, what is something you are constantly reminding yourself? What is your toe pick, toe pick?
I'm a perfectionist, and you can't be a perfectionist when you're creating. And that is the only time that I truly feel like I give myself the freedom to not be that perfectionist. It has been the best thing for me, and it has been the worst thing for me. But I think that my perfectionist side helps give me the drive that I have to keep going. I've also learned that you can't operate a sustainable life with that mentality all the time.
You had said that you weren't allowed to watch The Cutting Edge. And so this prompted me to ask you because I have one where I was like, do you remember the first movie you watched when you got older that you weren't allowed to watch when you were younger?
Oh my God, yes, it was Bridesmaids, and I snuck it. I was having a play date with a girlfriend. We were like, Lena, let's watch it. And the first scene of that movie is just very intense. And I was like, oh man, but such a great movie. Oh my God. I love that movie.
That is so funny. Ours, for me and my siblings, I do remember like the first quote unquote like naughty movie we watched that we were like, we shouldn't, but let's do it anyway. It was Dirty Dancing. And we were like, what?
That's, oh my God, iconic.
We also got to talk about I, Tanya and whacking a bitch. This was one of my favorite parts on that episode. So, in honor of the movie I, Tanya, you do know the movie I, Tanya,
Oh my
right?
God, T. I remember being a kid and like hearing about that. And it was like, oh, the biggest scandal ever. And I remember my mom telling me about it and just like being like, oh my God, why would somebody do that?
It was such a gnarly story. If Qwynn had to whack a bitch to get one of her songs in a movie, what song and what movie are you choosing?
Oh my God. I feel like it would have to be a rom-com. 80s to early 2000s rom-com. 16 Wishes, if I could get a song in that movie. Or 10 Things I Hate About You. Or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Probably those top three.
You named three movies that you would pick to have one of your songs in, but we never said which songs. And so I do want to backtrack real quick and I want to name the three movies that you mentioned. And I want you to tell me which one of your songs would go in this movie. So the first one I have that you mentioned would be 16 Wishes. Which one of your songs would go in this movie?
Probably Fear of Falling. Maybe that's the background song when, she's given the cake and they kiss. It's like Fear of Falling in the background.
I've been burned before, but it made me learn my worth. Is it a sign from above? Did I finally close that door? Is my heart no longer torn? Am I ready to be yours? Don't have the fear of falling in love, the fear of falling in love.
The next one you had said was 10 Things I Hate About You.
Blame yourself.
Hell yeah. The next one I have for you is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
No next time.
Beautiful. Manifesting for your songs to make their big debut in a movie one day. I would love it.
Yes, me too. That's another thing that I want to get more into as well as the sync world. But I have so many songs that are just sitting and I've written and need to do that. Add that to my to-do list.
Add it to the to-do list. And talking about wanting to do more things with your music, something that I really liked about the last time we talked, I loved your shout out to your manager. How did those connections happen? Because I know you openly talked about how that was a huge full circle moment with you and also with some other amazing collaborators. But I kind of want to highlight that real quick because I do think it's the coolest thing that at this point in your career, you were able to have a full circle moment with this EP of yours.
Yeah, it was such a dream. My manager is the best. And we met through actually somebody that I'd met through an acting project, which is another thing. Like both worlds have just become full circle and like so many different, beautiful ways that just feel so like destined to happen. My manager, Shane, I kind of told him, I was like, listen, I kind of feel like I'm hitting a plateau and I really want to be put in rooms that push me and make me uncomfortable so that I can grow and learn. And he's like, all right, well, I'll do some asking around and let's see what we can do. And introduced me to Adam Roth, who is in a band called Grizz Folk. And I remember being like in high school and seeing them. And I was like front row at their show at the Grog Shop in Cleveland Heights. Shout out Cleveland. I just loved their music and listened to it all the time. And I was like, oh, Adam, I love his music. This is so cool. I've looked up to him as an artist and a writer for so long. And the first song we did together was Never Now. That is the title track of the EP. And I think that it was so meant to be. It's funny. It's actually my boyfriend's favorite song on the EP. He's like, I love the lyric, drive a fast car real slow. Like, that's really cute, babe. I love it. But that was the first one we did together. And I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I cannot wait to keep making more music with him and writing it. We also wrote Fear of Falling, which is the love song on the project. That was crazy because we both were like, and like he had this idea. Is like, I wrote this hook and I don't know, it could be something, and started singing it. And then I kind of adjusted the melody to something that sounded more like me or in my voice. And we were like, all right, guess we're writing a love song today, you know? And it was really cool because I got introduced to Sam through Shane and mutual friends as well. And Sam is just a force, man. He is so talented. And we wrote Blame Yourself together.
While we discussed collaborations and how you were connected to some of the people that you had worked with, something that I wanted to kind of dissect a little bit more real quick with you is when it comes to future projects and something you just said, you know, you would love to see it go a little bit further. Are these collaborations going to still happen in the future? You're obviously going to keep working with some newer people, but I wonder if that reconnection from this EP is going to move forward into the next project.
Totally. Yeah, I'm going to LA in a couple weeks and already have sessions scheduled with all the guys that I made music on this one for. So, and some new people too.
Well, and I think that that was one of my favorite parts about that conversation we had. We talked about the power of really like stripping ourselves in front of people. I think that that's kind of where I'm also making this connection about why your music is so good stripped from the production.
At a crossroads and my world is crumbling down. Is it never a now? Never a now. It's a shot in the dark, but I swear my heart knows how. Is it never a now? Never a now.
It's because as soon as you started in these projects, you were stripped yourself.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that, but you're so right.
It's literally like going on a first date and asking all the questions you would have avoided in the past, but because you're just trying to get down to it. But I feel like that is the rawness right there. It's because you're going into it, you're stripping yourself in front of people with no judgment in hopes that you create something so magical. And then of course, then you make it pretty. You cover some of these rough patches with the beats and the vocals and the harmonies, but then it's the reason why they also sound so good when you take all the musical makeup off. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
In your opinion, what is going to be so different about these sessions now that you have basically seen each other basically almost at your worst because you got to write some vulnerable lyrics with them? Now you're going back for more. What's that going to look like?
More deep dives. Let's like keep removing the layers and see how deep we can get.
Well, and I think you said it so perfectly too. Keep stripping the layers off because I do think that even just in familial relationships and even love relationships, that's really what a relationship is all about. Just because you strip yourself the first time doesn't mean that there aren't any more layers to continue to peel back. So that's a beautiful message.
Thank you. I'm excited to do that. And these guys are great. I'm really excited to like work that muscle again. I feel like I've been doing so much promotion for the EP and like wrapping this up. And now that the EP is out, it's like, great. Okay, cool. Now I can simultaneously, do EP promotion and get creative again.
Well, I can't wait to hear the magic that comes out of those rooms because even the last time we talked, the way that you were glowing talking about these collaborations was, in my opinion, what I think transcended or translated into this EP. And so the new stuff, I can't wait to hear it. And I do want to honor the conversation that we talked about stripping ourselves and having difficult conversations that we talked about last time. What would you say are some difficult topics people should not avoid on something like a first date?
I always like to talk about family dynamics. I think that's very important. My family and I are very close. not that you have to be close with your family, but I want to understand the dynamic and, learn about why you are the way that you are and where you come from. I think those are very important things to talk about. I would probably also say like beliefs are important as well. Your morals have to be in alignment. You have to agree on, the fundamental things of being a good human. There has to be that chemistry, that energy there that where you just click with somebody. And you have to do something slightly different than the person that you're going on a date with. You always have to be learning something from your partner. I think that there's always something to be learning from them and discovering fun new ways to learn from them. I think really fun and important too. And it helps keep the spark alive. And yeah, like Zach will say things sometimes. I'm like, what the hell? That happened? And he'll be like, yeah. And then this and this. And I'll be like, oh, that's crazy. And like vice versa, I'll do the same. And he'll be like, what? Yeah, so talk about your family, talk about your morals. They need to be doing something slightly different than you so that you can always have, agree on the same things, but then there's always some separation. I think that that's very important.
Well, I think you just said it so perfectly, even with your hands. That's like balance right there. You need
Yeah.
that for any groundwork that goes into any dynamic of a relationship. So that's well said. I love it. And I promise you, I don't usually like to bring up relationships. I think you're probably the first guest I've had on where I've talked about your lover boy or anything like that. But I just think that the last time we chatted, you were just so radiant when it came to how loving you were with all these topics. And so I'm like, let me deep dive a little bit more because one of my favorite things about you was that even when you spoke about your hardships, you were speaking about them with so much love. And not a lot of people can do that. So thank you so much for being so vulnerable and obviously willing to right my wrong and doing this episode part 2 with me. Can't wait for you to see how I'm going to tie it all together. And don't worry, I am going to be tying in your audio with something super sweet for Connor at the end. And I can't wait for you to see that. So thanks again. I'm excited.
Thank you, Mo. And honestly, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. We got to talk about more things and really, really deep dive some more. So hell yeah.
No, you said it so perfectly, a blessing in disguise, because between the clips that I'm going to use on this episode plus the new stuff we talked about, I'm like, man, this couldn't have been better. So thank you so much. And lastly, please tell everyone where they can find you, where they can stream your music. And I'll clip that next clip of Connor right now before we do the outro.
One thing that I always experienced growing up was just seeing how much light that Connor and his friends brought into the world. And they're kids, but these kids with special needs, they become adults. And after you turn 21, the state doesn't help you anymore. And you have to go and seek out grants and funds to help your child. Or if they don't have somebody to advocate for them, what's going to happen? It's such a hard, hard thing to navigate. And as a dependent adult, you need help. So we started Connor's Hope. Connor's my brother. My last name, L'Esperance, means hope in French, or the hope. So Connor's Hope. We wanted to have the goal of helping assist these dependent adults with disabilities, just help improve quality of life, or give a grant for an arts therapy program or a music therapy program or something. We're really trying to grow it, but that was kind of the start of it. Connor is he is my favorite human being in the whole wide world. And he just is nothing but the epitome of love. Every time I'm around one of these kids, I just find myself beaming and glowing for them because they're just truly authentically themselves. And my dad says Connor lives in the garden and we live in the world, and we have the ability to come in and out of the garden and tend to it and take care of it. But Connor gets to experience just his own beautiful garden. I'm so grateful that we were in a place that we could start this and help assist these young adults with disabilities. You can find us at www.connorshope.com, read a little bit more about Connor and the story and our mission. And that's a little bit about it. So my name is Qwynn, spelled Qwynn. You can find me on all platforms at Qwynn Music. My artist name is Qwynn, so you can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, all the things at Qwynn. Qwynn.
Amazing. You are just such a delight. I love having you on.
Well,
Next
thank you
time,
for having me and for literally, I think I said this before, but providing this platform to have these incredible people share their stories and for asking the questions that don't normally get asked. You stand out so much and it's so unique, and I love your heart and you're just so great. And I'm so happy that we got to speak again.
well, I love yours, and I can't wait to be able to give you a big fat hug in person one day. And
Patrick's Day 2026. Let's go.
I cannot wait.
Before then.
It will. It's totally going to happen. It'll come to fruition. I'll make sure of it. And we'll definitely meet up probably before then. And I can't wait to hear the new stuff that you're working on. So,
I'm excited. Thank you again so much, Mo.
of course, thank you so much, Qwynn. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.
So sweet.
Hey, if you've made it this far, Don't forget to follow the socials on the screen or in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. See you next week.